Hi darlings, I'm Anna and today we're making a super easy oversized jumper made from one single piece. The tutorial is very detailed, so even if you're a complete beginner, there's really nothing to be afraid of. As you can see, this jumper has a relaxed, oversized fit with extremely wide sleeves. Okay, enough talking, let's get started. Let's begin with the materials. First, you will need some yarn. I want to mention that the yarn I used here, which is Drops Puna, is actually much thinner than what I would normally recommend for this project. It works, but it takes a lot of time to finish, so I suggest using at least a worsted yarn or even a bulky yarn if you want the jumper to work up faster. You will also need a hook, and I am using a 4mm one. To choose the right hook size, check the label on the yarn, as it usually gives a recommendation. Mine recommends a 4mm hook, so that's what I'll be using. If it shows a range, for example between 4 and 6 mm, you can decide based on the look you want. You will also need a pair of scissors to cut your yarn, a darning needle to weave in the ends, a measuring tape, and two stitch markers, but if you don't have stitch markers you can also use scrap yarn or anything else to mark stitches really. And that's it. Grab your yarn. I will be using a different one for this sample, which is thicker, so it will be easier for you to see. And then place it down like this. Now get your index finger and insert it into here and turn it upwards. Insert your thumb next to it and then grab the working yarn and not the tail end and pull through. Just like this. Now you can grab your hook, insert it into the loop and tighten it as much as you can. I will also show you how you can hold your yarn. This is how I hold mine, but there are many different ways you can hold yours. I will show you again slower. I wrap it around my pinky and then I put it over my index finger and I hold on to the tail. And now we can start chaining. To chain, you yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and pull through. This is how you chain. To decide how much you need to chain, I will make a quick sketch. I'm not really an artist, but you get the point. So this is a body. And to decide how much you need to chain, you will need 3 measurements or 2 measurements. From your wrist to your shoulder, and then from your shoulder to your other shoulder, and then from shoulder to wrist again. You need to add these 3 measurements together, and that is how long your chain needs to be. I know that's a lot of chains, but on the bright side you only need to do one panel. One big and huge, but only one panel. Okay, so basically you can get your hook and chains back and just keep repeating the same process, yarn over and pull through the loop until you reach the correct measurement. You can stop the video because this is gonna take a while for you, and I will see you when you reached your length. Good luck! Welcome back. This is my sample. I hope you finished your whole foundation chain, and to measure it, make sure you are not stretching it. You should leave it as it normally would sit. And if you are done, we can move on to our first row. But before we do that, we are going to chain one last, which is going to be our turning chain. So yarn over and pull through, and this is our turning chain. We will do this after every row. And now we are going to place double crochets. The in every single chain down the road. Just so you can see it better, these are our chains. Every single V-shaped looking thing is one chain. These are considered this one and this one. These are all chains. This is where we are going to work into. Let's start. Yarn over, and we will skip the very first chain, which was our turning chain, and we are going to work into the next chain. Also, this loop on your hook doesn't count as a chain, that's just a loop. So yarn over, skip the first chain and insert your hook into the second one. Then yarn over and pull through. You should have 3 loops on your hook now. Now yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. You have 2 loops again. And then yarn over and pull through those 2 loops as well. And this was our first double crochet. This is exactly what we are going to repeat into each chain. I will show you again. Yarn over, find the next chain. This is what we worked into, so this is the next one. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops. This was our next double crochet. Again, yarn over, place your hook into the next chain. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through the first 2. And yarn over, pull through the second 2 loops. You can clearly see which chains you worked into, so it shouldn't be hard to see which one is coming next. You have to repeat this process until you reach the end of the row. So place double crochets all the way to the end of the foundation chain. This again will take a while, I know. So you can stop the video and come back when you are done with the whole row. I am back at the beginning, and many people tend to skip over the very first chain. Please don't do that because your work will end up crooked. So go into the very first chain as well, even though it's hard to see it sometimes. So place your last double crochet. This is what our first row looks like. This is a row of double crochets. Or at least hopefully this is how yours looks like as well. And now, as we agreed, we are going to chain 1, which counts as our turning chain. And then we are actually going to turn our work again. In this row, we are going to place double crochets as we did before, but this time we are going to place them into the stitches that we have. I will show you what I mean by that. So these are the stitches. This will be our very first stitch here. But if you go from the top, these V shapes are all stitches. If you are working with a thicker yarn, I don't think it's hard to miss. So for example, this one is a stitch and this one is a stitch. These are all stitches. And even from the sides, I think they are pretty visible to see if you are working with a bigger hook and thicker yarn. It's hard to miss them. And every stitch has a front and a back loop. You have to go under both of them. Okay, so let's see. Grab your yarn and place your first double crochet into the very first stitch. So after you yarned over, insert your double crochet right here. And then into each stitch you will place one double crochet. Into the next one, right here, place your double crochet and just keep working double crochets until you reach the end of your row. So this second row is actually going to be our repetition for the whole project. We are going to place double crochets into each stitch, and this is going to be our whole project. Because it's very repetitive, you can go and watch your shows, you can do whatever while you crochet, because you won't need to pay much attention to it. Go ahead and finish your row, and I will show you how you can change colors if you are planning to do stripes as me. I'm finishing up my second row. Again, I want to mention you have to work into the very first stitch as well. You might want to miss it, but then your work will get crooked. Please take your time to see. This is another V shape. It's even bigger and looser, so it shouldn't be hard to see. And just work into this as well as your last double crochet. And now your work is straight, as you can see. We also have the turning chain, which can resemble a stitch, but it's not really, and you don't need to work into that. We skip that one. That's not a stitch. That's just the turning chain. We are going to chain one and turn our work, and this is how we start our third row, which will be the repetition of the second row. For every single row, we will repeat the second row. So we work one double crochet stitch into every stitch, and that will be our whole project. Okay, so I will show you how you can change colors, and I will use the second row for that. So we have to undo a few stitches. This is how you frog your project. If you made a few mistakes, you just pull the string, the working yarn. So to change colors, you will go finish your row, and when you reach the last double crochet, you have 3 loops on your hook. You pull through the first 2 stitches as usual, and then you can put down your project and grab the other color that you want to use, and then you form a loop. You place that loop on your hook, and you will pull this yarn through, not the original one, the new color. And this is how you change colors. It's extremely simple. You can make this even at the middle of a row. You don't need to do this only at the end. And now, usually for security reason, I tie a double knot, even though I will also weave over these ends. But just to make sure, I always tie a knot. And now you can cut the original color. Leave a little tail so we have something to weave in. And now chain 1, that counts as our turning chain, and we will start our third row using this new color. As I said, we have these tails which we will work over. One thing, make sure that all your tails will be on the same side of your project, so one side will be the wrong side and one side will be the right side. When you work over the tails, you place them on your hook and just keep working double crochets. So you yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, and keep the tails on your hook. You can hold them tight like I do here, and then yarn over and pull through two, pull through two, just regular double crochets, only this time you work over your tails. And you can repeat this until you only have a little tail left, and then we will cut these off. For example, my tails are not the same length, so once one is finished, I don't work over them anymore. I pull them aside, place one last double crochet or a few more, and then I put down my project and I can just cut the yarn off, the excess yarn. And as you can see, we hid the tail ends, so it's a little bit noticeable. So this will be my bad side of my project. I will hide all my tail ends on this side. From the other side, it's barely noticeable. So this will be the good side of our project. So we will repeat this row until we reach our measurement. To find out how many rows you need to do, you will take a measuring tape and count from your shoulder down to your belly button. This is my preferred length, but you can make a longer or a shorter jumper. This is all your preference. I will make a jumper to my belly button, which for me is 38 centimeters. Again, you can make a shorter or a longer jumper. And so far, I have maybe around 5.5 centimeters, so I still have a few more rows to go, and probably you do too. So once you reach your preferred length, we will meet again. So stop the video and good luck. Here is my actual project after finishing the front panel. As you can see, it measures 38 centimeters. Now we are going to decide how big we want the neck opening to be. We will measure from the edge towards the center, and this would be somewhere between 45 to 55 centimeters on each side, depending on your size. I suggest you measure yourself for a precise measurement. Once you're happy with the length, place a stitch marker to keep track of the stitch. And we are going to repeat this on the other side as well. I will fold the piece so I can compare the two sides better. Take your measuring tape. By the way, you can also count your stitches to make sure you have exactly the same amount on both sides. Then place a stitch marker right here. And for me, after a good shake, the two sides are supposed to align, just like this. What matters most is that both sides have the same number of stitches or the same exact measurement. Before continuing, I recommend holding this piece up to your body to check the fit. If the opening is too wide, the jumper might slip off your shoulders, so adjust if needed. Once you're happy with the fit, let's continue. I still need to chain one and turn. We'll start by placing double crochets into each stitch as usual until you reach your first stitch marker. You can stop the video. I'm here. As you can see, I finished by working one double crochet into the stitch that has the stitch marker. Now count the number of stitches between the two markers, not including these, and Chain the exact same number. After chaining, yarn over and make a double crochet into the stitch where the second marker is. An important note, make sure your chain isn't twisting. You can remove this now so it's not bothering you. Then continue making double crochets until you reach the end of the row. When you're done, chain one and turn your work. In the next row, continue crocheting as before until you reach the chains. I'm here, but you can stop the video if you're not here with me yet, and I'll wait. When you reach the chain space, simply place double crochets into the chains, just like you did with the foundation chain. Again, make sure you are working in the correct side. So just place one double crochet in each chain, starting with the next one. Place your double crochet into this chain right here. I think they are pretty visible, but you already did a foundation chain, so this shouldn't be so hard. And just place one double crochet into each chain. Once you get to the end of the chains, yarn over and place a double crochet into the first stitch and each stitch, continuing the same exact pattern. And I will meet you at the end of this row. This in-between row counts as the middle of your project. You can think of it as a shoulder seam. So starting from the next row, that will be our back panel, and from the row below, this one, counts as our front panel. The important thing is that this row is neutral, so if you want to count your rows and keep track of them, you can think of this row as row 0. And from here, repeat the same rows until the back panel reaches the same length as the front panel, which for me was 38 centimeters. Okay, good luck. I know this will take a while, so I will see you when you're done. As you probably can tell, it's the next day, so it took me a while to finish the other panel, but I'm finally done. I already fastened off, but I will show you how you can do that on my sample. Basically, at the end of the row, you chain one, as usual, then cut the yarn, which I already did. Then with the help of your hook, pull through. At this point, if you have loose ends, it's a good idea to weave them in if you haven't done that already. And I will show you how you can do that now. Thread your yarn through a darning needle. Turn your piece to the wrong side, which will be the inside of our jumper, as we agreed. For example, this is my good side and this is my bad side. Let me get rid of the fabric real quick. I don't follow a strict method here. I usually go through a few stitches in one direction, then change direction and go through a few stitches back. What I would recommend doing is going down to the bottom of the double crochet stitches, because in my opinion you can hide the tails better here. And we'll go back. So down a few stitches. Don't worry if your stitches are tighter and it's hard to get in. After you reach the bottom of the double crochets, insert your hook into these loops and stitches here, going into one direction for a few stitches. Make sure you don't come out on the other side. So just repeat this going under a few double crochet stitches, and after a while you can turn your work and go backwards. The important thing is that you have to skip the very first stitch. So write this one, skip that one and go over it and place your needle underneath the next one so you don't undo your work basically. You may repeat this step a few more times until it feels secure, and then cut the yarn. Repeat this with every tail you have left. In case like mine, when the tail is on the right side of the project, first bring that to the wrong side. For this we will use our hook, find where the tail comes out, insert your hook, grab the tails and pull them through. I will leave you to finish weaving in the ends by yourself. Our next step will be sewing the sides together. I will be waiting for you. Lay your piece flat with the right side facing up and fold it in half. So now the right sides are inside, facing each other, and what we can see now is the wrong side. Now we'll decide where the openings will be. You can choose a wider opening for a looser fit or a smaller opening for a more fitted look. I am going for a more fitted version, so I'm planning to connect the panels all the way to my waist. Measure both sides carefully and make sure the sides are aligned and the corners touch each other. Get your stitch markers and place them roughly in the same spots on each side, each panel. Make sure you go into both panels. And repeat on the other side. This is the distance between my stitch markers. This is the width of my waist, or the circumference of my waist divided by 2. Before joining, make sure everything is symmetrical. To join the sides, we will need our yarn and hook. We need to attach our yarn to the corners, first into the bottom one, and then into the one on top. Don't worry if the stitches are too tight, you can use your nails to try to get the yarn on your hook if it's the case. Grab your yarn, place it on your hook, and pull it through both panels. Chain 1 to secure it, and now we will start with the slip stitches. You may notice that one side has regular stitches while the other side has the foundation chain. It may be harder to see, but it should be very easy to work into them if you have a good tension. And as I said, the other side has regular stitches. We will work into those on this side. Let's start then. Go into the next chain that is beside the corner and go into the next stitch on the other panel. Yarn over and pull through both panels. Now you have 2 loops on your hook. You will need to pull the first one through the second one just like this. Go into the next chain on the first panel and the next stitch on the second panel and slip stitch again. Repeat this step until you reach the stitch marker. Just to show you, this is what the bad side will look like, and this is what the good side looks like. As you can see, it's very hard to notice the seam. So stop the video and come back when you reach the stitch marker. When you reach it, chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. You will repeat this step on the other side all by yourself. If you need any help, feel free to rewatch this section of the video. When you're done with both sides, you will have two tails left, which you also need to weave in the same way we did before. And now we can finally turn our project inside out. So just grab the sleeves and turn them inside out. And this is our final piece. Now there's only one thing left to do, which is make the cords. The main body is finished and all that's left is to make the cords. For this, we'll create a simple single crochet foundation chain, which might sound complicated, but it's really not. We will start by making a slip knot, and I will use my sample yarn again so you will see it better. Once the slip knot is done, you can chain 2. Insert your hook into the first chain or the second chain from the hook. Pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook, and just as a regular single crochet, you will yarn over again and pull through both loops. We have a stitch now, which may be hard for you to see because it's a little bit deformed. It was made from our first yarn over pull through, and we are going to insert our hook here. The first one will be hard to see, but the rest will be easier, I promise. Then you are going to yarn over and pull through. You have 2 loops on your hook, and again yarn over and pull through only the first one. This is where our stitch is formed, and then yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops. So again, we will insert our hook into this stitch, which we just formed, and insert our hook here. Then yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first one. This is the next stitch. And then yarn over, pull through the 2 loops. This will be our repetition. Again, we go into this newly formed stitch. Insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first one, and then yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops. You will repeat this step until you reach your desired length for the cord, which should be enough to wrap around your sleeve, which will be bunched up, so you need to chain a lot more than your actual wrist, and then the excess amount that you want to tie. This is all about preference. It can be a shorter or a longer chain. So this is what our cord looks like now. I like a single crochet foundation chain because it's thicker than just a single regular foundation chain, but at the same time it's not so complicated to make and works up quite fast. So if you need any help, you can rewatch this step as many times as you get it. And when you are done, you will just simply fasten off, as you can see here. This is my actual cord, which measures 75 centimeters. For reference, this is what I estimate I will need for my sleeve and wrist. And this is the excess I leave to tie, but you can leave a shorter or a longer tail, as I said. So I will need to make another one with the exact same length, and we will weave these in later. So go ahead and finish your cord, or actually finish both of your cords, and we will see each other later. Here is my project, and now we only have to weave in the cord. You can do this either at the top or at the bottom of the sleeve, depending on whether you want it to show or if you want to hide it a bit more. I'm going to start weaving it in at the bottom so the bow will sit at the bottom of the sleeve. Now grab your darning needle, insert the yarn through, and we'll start weaving in the cord. I'm going to go into every second row. This way the ruffles won't be too tight and the sleeve won't bunch up too much, but it also won't be loose. You can go into every row if you want it tighter, or every third or fourth row if you want it looser. This is totally personal preference. So I will work into every second row. I'm also going in between the third and fourth double crochet of each row, so not too close to the edge, but also not very deep inside. So between the third and fourth row I'm going in and coming out 2 rows later. Again, skip 1 row and into the second one, insert your needle in between the third and fourth stitches, and come out 2 rows later in between the third and fourth stitches. Again, skip 1 row and into the next, go in. At this point I'm going to pull through my cord a bit, leaving a tail because you will need to tie this. And then I'll go back, skipping 1 row and coming out from behind in the next. So this is what we will be repeating all the way around. Again, you can go into every row or every third, fourth, fifth row. This is your choice. I will show you again into the second row from here. Go in. As you can see, I'm not pulling through every single time. I go into and out of a few stitches, and only after a few rows I will pull my cord through. And I will tighten it now so you'll see how it will look. And if you like this look, you can also work into every second row, and you will repeat the same exact step all the way until you get back to the end. I will see you there. I'm back at the beginning, so now I will just pull on my cords and I will close the sleeve from both sides equally. And this is how your sleeve will look. Make sure you leave the same amount of chains on both sides. And as one last thing, it's time to weave in these ends too. I hope you enjoyed making this jumper as much as I did. If you are looking for more easy and beginner-friendly crochet tutorials, make sure to subscribe because more are coming. Thank you so much for being here. Bye!